Hey, everybody, come on in. This is going to be a great show. It's going to be a great show. Doing good. I'm just separating the stuff I want to show and the stuff I want to show later. That's all. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. Have a seat. This is the episode of Sunday Funnies for the 27th of November, 2022. Oh, what's this? This is Alan Davis, but we're not going to talk about that today. Got my hands dirty for this one, folks. We're going to talk about the early indie comics. So hope you're ready.
Back when indie was indie.
Indie is indie. Indie small press, alternative comics. There's a whole span there. We'll get into that in a minute, but first we got to run the opening. And I should have prepared a special one for this one, but I sure didn't. So
put up with it.
Put up with it. That's right. Here we go. Going through and going, that's a maybe, that's a have to, that's a maybe later. That one's odd enough to show. This one's weird. All right, everybody, come on in. Come on in, Sunday Funnies. I want to talk about, because if you got a chance to look at our Comics by Night episode we did Friday, which were very, I think it went incredibly well, where we were talking about Wally Wood. And that got me thinking, you know, there's a whole period there after the EC's books and before Marvel started that fandom really started. I mean, that's it. Comic fandom really goes back to pulp magazine fandom. When they started a letters column in some of the, I think they were mostly science fiction magazines, started printing fan letters. And it started people talking to one another and people exchanging correspondence.
A lot of famous writers got their start writing for the letters columns,
for the letters pages. Yep. And
Lovecraft, Robert Bloch, Robert E. Howard.
Well, there's a famous exchange there between Howard and Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Somebody was talking about doing a book if they didn't do it already. That is bound to be amazing, where they're talking about all the finer points. And that's where Howard created the Hyborian Age and a lot of the inspiration for Conan. But the thing is, the cool thing, one of the things I love about comic history, when you go and you look at it and you read up about it, what little there is out there, because you literally have to look for scraps here and there about comic history. So nobody's really sat down and done a definitive book about everything. I mean, per se, a lot of it is pointed. You can go out and find the History of Marvel Comics by Sean Howe, which is a pretty good book, and it's got a lot of information in it. But nothing matches the entire history. You look at Steranko's History of Comics, barely scratches the Golden Age, and doesn't go much farther than that. He only did 2 volumes, and he needed to do a lot more. I hope he does before he passes. I understand that there's a couple of other volumes all ready to go. They just have to print them, I guess. I wish they'd crowdfund them and move along with it, because they were really great definitive works. But the thing is, 50s in comics, you have those great EC comics that we looked at, the Wally Wood, most of the Wally Wood material, some of the Wally Wood material, but also Kurtzman, and we saw a little John Severin, little Jack Davis back then, just prime artists, truly becoming masters in the field. 50s come up, the horror magazines come up, Crime Does Not Pay comes up. All of those books are raging. I mean, we're talking about they're selling millions of copies on the stands, on the spiral racks. And there's a hardcore backlash, because you've got all of these people that believe that comics are made for kids. And here's all of this more adult material coming out, and they couldn't have that. So you had congressional hearings and the Wortham Seduction of the Innocent book, and everybody was all worried that they were creating juvenile delinquency because of the comics that were out there. It's ridiculous, just like video games now, or D&D, and back then satanic panic they like to call it now, looking back on it. But what happened is that fandom kept going. Fandom stayed strong. You already appealed to a group of adults. A group of adults already grasped onto sequential art as an effective medium for entertainment. They didn't go away. When the Comic Code Authority came in and everything dumbed down as far as the mainstream goes on the newsstand, that fandom didn't go away. So you've got Kurtzman ends up leaving EC, goes off to the West Coast, and he does couple of magazines. He tries to get a couple of magazines off the ground, mainly Trump and Help. Those were the name of the magazines long before Donald come out. Trump was, a moving euchre, or what was highest up in euchre. So that was
not
Trump.
That Trump,
different Trump, not the orange man, but he did Trump magazine for a half a dozen issues. He did Help for a half a dozen issues. And during that period of time, he discovered this whole range of great cartoonists over on the West Coast, and basically said, dude, you need to start doing your own books. You can do your own comics. Just find a printer and print your own books. So they started printing their own books, and soon they started printing their own IPs. And you ended up with the underground, what has been labeled as the underground, but it's more of an alternative market. Some of that stuff is very adult. Some of that stuff is meant to be controversial. It's meant to be triggering, I guess you would say today. But you also had people that wanted to do their own stuff, that wanted to do their own alternative comics, and started working in that direction. And they, like I said, they started to create their own IPs. And out of that literally started the small press movement, which morphed into the independent comics movement. And in the meantime, a lot of people think, like I put in the Facebook postings, a lot of people think that the alternative movement really started with Turtles, and it didn't.
Oh no.
It took a turn at Turtles. Turtles was a big phenomenon that really kicked it off for a lot of people. Arrow Comics sprung up out of Ralph and Stu discovering Turtles and deciding that they could print their own books, and as did so many others, in their own garage, in their own basement, and just have a local printer sit there and do that. But even before that, long before that, fandom still raged and still kept going out there. And once copy machines, mimeograph machines came to the fore, the blue paper stuff that you used to run off, or we used to run off in school. Nowadays they have Xerox copiers and all of this that were great. Fandom used to all get together and do what they called APAs, amateur press associations, where you'd get 30, 40, 50 people together in an APA, and I think some of these reached into the hundreds, where they would all print their own material. They'd print enough copies for everybody in the group, and they'd ship them out to a central mailer who would staple them all together and then mail them all back. And this is back when mail rates were incredibly cheap. They'd mail them all back to their members, and everybody would end up with this magazine, this tremendously huge bound magazine of everybody's work, all put together into one publication. And those APAs used to be really popular. And this is even before Marvel Comics started, that the APAs were raging. So APAs come out, fanzines, especially for all sorts of different entertainment genres, spring up. You see all of these rock and roll fanzines and everything like that comes out of the 60s and 70s that were incredibly popular. Well, the same thing happened for comics. And one of the most popular of those was the Rocket Blast Comic Collector. That was out for the longest time. Here's an example of a cover of the RBCC, Rocket Blast Comic Collector. This is done by Stephen Fabian, the cover is. And it started a lot of people's careers from coming out of these fanzines. Starlin is a great example of somebody who came out of this group. Kerry Gamble come out of this group. Jerry Ordway, a whole slew of comic artists, modern mainstream artists, all came out of the Rocket Blast comic collector. Let me see if I have another one here. I think I do. Here's another cover. This cover is done by the great Frank Brunner, who did Howard the Duck. And I should have remembered, and I don't have an example. I didn't dig through my comic files. This time I dug through my magazine files because they were easier to get to. And I pulled up a bunch of magazines from this period, and I thought I would show them off. And
It's very heavy metal like.
Oh, it's very inspirational for that. But it also comes out of the psychedelic 60s and 70s, early 70s. So, which I think a lot of the European material was very influenced by heavy metal, that kind of metal. Hurlant, Mobius come out of that period. Here's another Rocket Blast comic collector with a cover by Phil Foglio.
Oh, no. I hate to interrupt, Randy. I think Scott Rosen was knocking at your door.
No, he's not, unless he sent me a text.
Oh, he's in the comments.
He did.
Yeah,
dude, I've got him in the room. I mean, I've got him in our room here. Let me see here if I can, what I've got here ready to paste. There we are. All right. I'm pretty sure I put him in our Sunday Funnies room.
Is the Rosema here?
It's the Rosema coming, I think. One of the things, and this is what really got me thinking about this period, a lot of these sequential artists decided that they could get away from the mainstream system, and they did a number of different experiments. And one of the things Wood did was he started his own fan magazine called Wit's End. And there's a Wood cover, number 10 for Wit's End.
That's so good.
Isn't that amazing?
he was an amazing draftsman.
Yeah, we covered a lot of his work. We showed off a couple of EC stories on the last Comics by Night, which we hope everybody goes over there and takes a look at. Here's another Wit's End cover, also by Wood. $1 per copy. It's the cover for Wit's End number 2. I've never seen a physical copy of this in all of my conventioning. In fact, that was the first time I saw the cover is when I captured the image. But what a great image. Just look at that.
Somebody at Pixar and Disney may have been looking at that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the older guys were picking up this, or were getting Wit's End when they
Right.
could. These are incredibly rare. If you ever see them at a show, they're very expensive to get. Here's Wit's End number 7, done by Vaughn Baudet. Yeah.
Oh, that's hideous.
It's Cobalt 90, I believe, or Cobalt 60, one or the other. So, and I probably shouldn't leave that cover up for very long.
No,
but it is art, please. So let that be that.
There was no nudity that I could see, so
I didn't see any.
Oh, that's okay then.
Yeah, of course.
This is America, okay?
Yeah.
Our morals as far as decency goes is a little skewed.
Vaughn is another great artist out there who doesn't get his due anymore. Fantagraphics has gone and painstakingly reprinted the majority, if not all, of Baudet's printed works in the past. His Junk Waffles, his eroticas, his Cheech Wizard especially. That's his biggest character. He'd like to draw wizards. Or lizards, I should say. Like to draw all sorts of lizards. Like that. That was his trademark. If you're ever out, and of course you've seen the balloon lettering, a lot of the graffiti cartoon styles are attributed to Baudet's original comic book work, especially the stuff you see on the side of train cars and that kind of thing. We see a lot of that around here. There's a lot of people with too much time on their hands that like going around tagging and vandalizing things. This is Baudet's cartoon concert book. It's paperback book size. It's your standard paperback book size, which you don't see around very much anymore, but it's got a lot of Baudet's material in it, printed. And I've already cracked the spine on this. I think I've already shown this off before. So no nudity there at all. Anyway,
That's
turn
rare.
that page. This is hard to find also. Yep. And a lot of times they were wasting space, but it's still a great read. This is a collection of some of his strips that were in Gallery and Wii magazine, that kind of thing. Well, he asked for a link. I sent him a link, and he's still not here.
Come on, Rosema.
I probably gave up.
Might have. I'm pretty sure I've got him as part of the group that I've been putting links in. We'll see. Anyway, he might be gathering stuff too because he's as old as I am, and or maybe a year or two younger.
Gathering mushrooms.
Gathering mushrooms. But a lot of that underground movement sprung out of the direct rebuttal, I guess you would say, to the Comic Code Authority, and you saw a lot of great underground works, and some IPs came through on a regular basis, like one of which was the great Wonder Warthog, as well as Captain Chud and other super stuff. It's another paperback book, also hard to find anywhere. So.
Wasn't Wonder Warthog Gilbert Sheldon?
Gilbert Sheldon, exactly right. Yep. I get Sheldon and Sheridan mixed up all the time. And this has got some great, obviously, underground material in it. And I'm not going to open up this one very far, but I will crack it a little bit here. I really, the older this stuff gets, the harder it is to keep the pages together. Let me show you some of Sheldon's work. Very cartoony, very fun. And I discovered Wonder Warthog off of the Les Daniels History of Comics in America book, which is still one of the most comprehensive comic history books that I've found. Still a worthy read. A lot of information's missing, but you still had a lot of fanzines running out. Here is an old fanzine called Alter Ego that Mr. Roy Thomas did.
That's still going on.
Yes, it is. It's still being printed. I think Tomorrow's is doing that now. But this is one of the original ones. It's got an interview in here with the late Bill Everett. It's just great. Here's a somebody else here. Star Reach Publications is doing that, and Star Reach was a publisher from back in the 70s. If you ever get a chance to see, they printed a lot of people's works. They did a anthropomorphic book called Quack before there were furries, long before there were furries, but their big main magazine was Star Reach magazine that had a lot of great sequential art in it. And this is all back in the 70s and 80s, very, very much at the forefront of alternative press. Get this also, this issue also has an interview with some guy named Jean Girard.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. Never heard of him. Look at that. That's a great drawing right there.
Is that a self-portrait?
I would assume so. It's in his
Can't
style.
quite tell.
So, very much so like Mobius. Jean Girard. Just great stuff. Oh, look at that. That is great.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Bill Everett Submariner right there. No more here. That's for sure. But anyway, through the undergrounds started a whole rage of alternate press. The undergrounds did their own distribution system. They mostly through head shops. And the places that head shops were places that sold drug paraphernalia, bongs and scales and mirrors and all sorts of stuff. So he said, scrounging around. Out of that, one of my favorite during that period, one of my favorite artists is George Metzger. And you see him on the top of our outline, our underlay page here, does a strip called Moondog that was really a favorite of mine. Metzger had a lot more influence than anybody wants to give him credit for, about a blind hippie traveling the post-apocalyptic world. He had a very great realistic cartoony style. What a great look to his work. Look at that moon. Just incredible. Yeah. Just love this strip. Didn't go on long enough. I believe there's 4 issues of Moondog out there, all printed on newsprint. Very much in the alternative comics of the day. A lot of Zipatone, a lot of great uses of black and white, because it was so much cheaper to print black and white than it was to print a color book. You saw a lot of these books start coming out in black and white. There's some great safe work here from him. And again, there's no Comic Code Authority on this. There's no guidelines. There's usually no editor running over top of it. So you get some pretty wild, imaginative, and most often risque material printed there. Metzger is also attributed to doing one of the very first, what they associate as graphic novels in the book Beyond Time and Again, which is a science fiction novel. Again, very much in Metzger's style. Just great stuff. It's an oblong hardback book. I should have looked at that.
That's a
before I showed
very
it in front of the
Wally
camera.
Wood style inking on that page.
It is to an extent, but it's also it's got a great individual cartoony style to it. That's just, I love it. I just love the way it looks. This is a great, great book if you ever find it. George Metzger, I believe he's Canadian. He's in the Vancouver area. Still, last time I knew, he was still around. I wish he would make some appearances, because he was a very influential on my youth and upbringing. You had a lot of people going around doing a lot of independent, little small comics. I mean, a lot more than anybody realizes. That's why I say, when you get a chance to go through your local retailer, take a little time and go down and look at those boxes that are sitting in the bottom shelves, because you never know what you're going to find. And this is from the era of Just Imagine Comics and Stories, which is where I got my start. Mike Gustovich's Justice Machine comes out from that time period. I've got a magazine here. I had, I think since 78. I haven't popped it in quite a while. It's enough to make you cough here. This is oh man, I can't even read it. I'd have to switch glasses. It says Alpha Omega is, I believe, the name of the magazine. Dave Morrison's a writer. Mike Matthew did the layouts. Bill Woodward did the pencils. Don Wote did the lettering. Bill Woodward did the pencils. Who did the inks here? Looks like Duke Matthews. I don't know. It's hard to tell, because the indicia here is obviously done. Here, let me blow this up. Obviously done with a typewriter. And pasted in. Come on, camera. Focus. Can you see that, or is it just my glasses? It's probably just my glasses. That's why I wear a different pair in front of the computer. Look at that. Yeah, look at that old typewriting.
Now, yeah.
Phenomenal layout style right there. Get a little frame, stick a piece of typing paper inside. But Alpha Team Omega is what it's called. Stephen Jones, Mike Matthew, S. Clark. Oh, Clark Hallbaker, if you know who he is. Also got his start here. This is from the late 70s. Very much newsprint color on the outside, all done in newsprint, saddle stitch, double staple, very much to look like a comic. Sold for, I think it was 50 cents on the day. Great old stuff. Fantasy Graphics. Steve Jones, I believe, is associated with this. Yeah, Stephen Jones was a writer. And the great, look at that, hand lettering, probably without an Ames lettering guide. Maybe
it looks kind of loose, but I mean, either way, it looks good.
Very loose. Still a lot of fun to read. Great stuff. There were a lot of regionalized publishers at that point doing their own stuff, because that's the only way you could get out. You traveled, you reached whatever head shops or bookstores or comic shops that would allow you. This is long before, or just as I should say, comic shops were starting to emerge. A lot of the head shops ended up evolving into comic book shops because it was so easy to get, so easy to display and sell. And one of the hubs for self-published comics really was Detroit. And one of those early comics was Power Comics. And I think I've shown this before on the air. Here's Power Comics #1 with Night Witch in it. The Power Comics started the career of a lot of people, a lot of young kids coming in and starting to do that drawing. This has got T. Casey Brennan. It's got Grant Stevens, Skip Williams, Bill Mesner Lobes. Got his first step in here. Did a series called The Wraith as well through Power Comics. Mike Gustovich did a series, I believe, called Cobalt Blue. That was a great superhero story. And I know I've shown this on the air before because it has a story in here called A Boy and His Aardvark. That's the one of the first works by a young Dave Sim in it, as well as T. Casey Brennan.
Oh, there's a theme there then.
A Boy and His Aardvark. Great wraparound cover, by the way.
Oh yeah.
That just fun. A little bit taller than an average comic, which is why the top of it's a little rip torn, but obviously misprinted a little bit because the logo is way too tall and there's some dead space here along the bottom, so they kind of missed it as far as the printing goes. But it's out there, and some great ads in here. Very much a time capsule, very much dated, late 70s. As he said, double checking. There we are, to make sure that it's okay to put on camera. Look at that figure there. Great stuff. Just a lot of fun. There were a ton of fanzines out during that period, very much like this. Alternative publications, where those fanzines ended up morphing into one of the other great Detroit publications. One that got me started was called A+. Two-tone cover there. And again, another great wraparound cover, strategically covering any possible nudity. There we are.
Whoa, what happened to her? Somebody twisted her spine.
Yeah, pretty much. Did a great job. A little bit of a box, and a weird hand that practically goes nowhere.
Yeah.
I believe the cover was done by Bill Bryant, who went on to do a lot of work for Caliber, did the Oz series with Ralph and Stu. Megaton Publications also got involved with Cobalt Blue.
Of course they did.
Yeah. And again, an indicia that a typewriter would love. Very rustic, very much pasted together material. This has got stories in it by, let me see if I can find a contents page. Of course, I'm not going to find one, but Kevin, the person who put this book together is Kevin Ciambita. And you might not know who he is, but he went on to have a big career in gaming, did Palladium Books, I believe. Palladium Book Line. Here's some of it's cosmic work. Look at that. Okay. Hey, I've got a strange zipatone pattern I think I can use for this. Exactly.
It's got a touch of Starlin about it.
Yep, very much so. Starlin come out of this area. Wouldn't be surprised if they knew each other. I think Starlin still has family in the Detroit area. Tendrils of the Mind. Spacecraft designed by Joel Stolinsky, written and drawn by Kevin Ciambita.
Yeah, that's bonkers, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolute crazy. Scott popped up long enough to pop out. Probably couldn't get his equipment together. Come on, Scott, you can make it. You can do it. A lot of this is Kevin's work. Here's somebody. It's got a unique style. Who is this? Brian Ciambita. All right. Obviously his brother. Here are some examples of Bill Bryant's early work. Went on to do the Oz for quite a long time. Arrow Comics printed his work as Land of Oz and Dark Oz. Did a Woggle Bug special. We printed an art book of his work. We can't show that page. We can show half of that page. Let's not. Very much in the Look at that. You can tell he studied anatomy. It's up the chin shot there. That's very difficult to do. And again, that was A+ Comics for $1. Sold for $1. 2-color cover.
I'd buy that for $1.
Black and white newsprint. Goofy. Lots of fun. One of the that just as the direct market was budding, and starting out budding is a bad pun, because there were three main hubs for self-distributed or direct distributed material when it first started. Phil Suling had started a lot over on the East Coast, I believe. Also on the West Coast, Bud Plant had sprung up, and he was distributing books as well as started printing his own books. And one of them got pretty well known, though it's very overlooked today, and that is First Kingdom. It's beautiful art style, fun to
Nice
do.
pixelation.
Yeah. Well,
Is it?
pixelated.
It looks good on mine. Oh, here, let's try.
No.
How
I
about
meant the censored parts
Oh,
on the cover.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
oh, I
Sorry.
guess so. I didn't even look. There we are. I thought she was covered. There's another cover. That's from the later printed versions from Bud. Here comes Mr. Roseman now.
A nice, sensible warrior attire there.
Absolutely.
2-color cover.
We have a little feedback, Scott, coming off of your feed.
Oh, here we go.
All right.
Think I got it. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Scott.
By
We didn't-
God.
We didn't bother to introduce ourselves, so we're just looking
Kapla,
at
Scott.
stuff. There's
Good morning, everybody.
another cover of the First Kingdom.
Been enjoying some of these indie comics. Boy, these were gems to find in all those boxes
Mm-hmm.
at shows and various comic shops. Man,
That's why I keep saying you gotta go look every once in a while, because a lot of these retailers have had boxes sitting around for 10, 20 years, these longtime retailers. And you'd be amazed at what's inside.
oh, just phenomenal stuff. You know that Jack Katz on the Kingdom, the First Kingdom,
Mhm.
unbelievable. The volume of work he produced,
Yeah.
just unbelievable.
And the detail on his,
Oh, yeah.
on his work, it's just amazing. Line work is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Very pre-heavy metal on this too.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Very,
I'm not completely convinced I've been able to follow the story, because it's epic of the highest order. I mean, my God, it's just, goes on for thousands of years, and it's just unbelievable.
interesting stuff. Also in that period, late 70s, I would say 78, 79, if I'm not mistaken. Another little publication started, Fantasy Quarterly. Remember that?
Oh, yes, yeah. Fantasy Quarterly. Yeah.
Only had one issue.
Oh, so much being quarterly. I guess.
Yeah. Well, they started out quarterly. Then it just kind of took off, and they decided to name it after the IP that they had created. Richard and Wendy Penny.
All
Started
right.
up ElfQuest.
Okay.
With the guy in the background intentionally, well, not intentionally, but misprinted in blue. There.
Oh, really?
It's a printing error.
Oh, yeah. Oh, all the days of mixing up your color plates.
Mm-hmm. The
Man,
wonders.
man.
Yep. CMYK for a reason. So, but this was a also
You got something growing out of your lap. What's going on?
Yeah. Had a visitor.
he always gets a visitor.
Yeah.
He knows when he comes on the air and he jumps on the lap because he loves being on camera. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Or he loves attacking his master on camera. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yes, I love you too. I love you too. Yes.
ElfQuest really sprung up from there. Right during that period, Dave Sim off of Power Comics decided to start printing his own Aardvark adventures.
There we go.
Yeah. I've got a copy of that here. I got the first phone book.
Yeah, I do too on my shelf over there.
It's Cerebus, Dave Sim.
Yeah.
The
That's a good
Adventures
one.
of a Barbarian Aardvark who became Pope.
And Prime Minister and
Prime Minister.
homeless.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Barat.
Just amazing stuff. But before all of that, he actually, very much like the Turtles, started out being a parody.
Oh yeah,
Parody of Conan the Barbarian. Look at
Yeah.
that great cartoony work right there. That's phenomenal. Just great stuff. All Dave Sim here.
I
You
didn't
know-
notice it, but they put out a. I think IDW put out a treasury of all the covers for each issue.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't notice it off the bat, but a lot of the early covers themselves were parodies of
Oh, yeah.
Conan the Barbarian comics.
He had an Elric parody called Elrod.
Elrod, yeah. Sim had the most phenomenally funny parody of Mick Jagger and Keith Richards in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just this laugh out loud, break your ribs funny. Oh,
The one exchange I remember was when he met, I think he called the character Red Sophia instead of Red Sonja. And she whips off her top and she goes, "What do you think about these?" And Cerebus looks at him and goes, "They would probably heal if you'd stop wearing that chainmail bikini."
I give Dave Sim all the due in the world for being a hilariously funny writer. He is just, for all the rest of his faults, he is just laugh out loud.
Well, his parody is amazing, but it takes the phone books. It takes you picking up the large volume books to realize exactly how great of a writer he is. Because when I started reading the individual church and states, and I was a big fan of the property at the time, I stopped reading it because he wasn't going anywhere with the story. Yeah. I thought the story wasn't moving, wasn't doing nothing, and it was actually him just meandering around, just wandering and just filling space until you buy a phone book and you sit there and you read everything in order and you see how he's just moving chess pieces around in a beautifully long, intricate story. That a church and state is just solid genius. And before they had these phone books, and after he was printing those floppy editions, he was putting 3 or 4 issues, I think, together in a Swords of Cerebus volumes.
Oh yeah, those
he collected for a little while.
Those are good to come across.
Got a couple of those, selling them for a whopping expensive $5 at the time.
Amazing deal.
Yeah. Just a great product. This is book 1. This is volume 1. This covers, in fact, there's a picture of a young Dave Sim right there.
He said he printed an interesting editorial at one point where he described his getting into comic books was almost a last ditch effort for him to find something for himself to dedicate himself to. And said he had tried all kinds of other things, but it wasn't until he actually tried comic books as a medium and as a visual or as a tool that he latched onto it. And it just, he was completely taken from there.
And that's really interesting that you say that, because you look at the histories of like Frank Baum, who wrote the Oz books, and Edgar Rice Burroughs. Both writers were wanderers and were failed entrepreneurs that couldn't keep a business off the ground until they wrote. Baum would have never written the Oz stories if he wasn't making up stories for his kids. Yeah, because they couldn't afford storybooks, so he was sitting there doing all of these Oz adventures, and his wife, I think, finally convinced him to sit down and write it. The John Carter Warlord of Mars books from Burroughs are just him. There's a new thing called pulp magazines. I think I'll try to write for them and see what happens. And took off from there. But a lot of these, it takes a while for people to find their passion, to find their niche. And Sims is one of them.
It always seems to come down to, you find people that are exceptionally either exceptionally successful or exceptionally drawn into what they're doing. You find that they have this innate passion for it, like musicians or
it becomes a driving force after a while. Yeah. And a lot of these guys look at Hemingway. You either turn to alcohol or you write.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Poe is the same way.
I heard a story one time about a professional musician. She was orchestra national orchestra level skill and all this,
Mm-hmm.
and she was finally confronted by one of her instructors, and when she asked him how he liked the concert, and he said it was wonderful, but you really didn't enjoy yourself, did you? And she had to admit, no, I really didn't. And she finally had to realize that she didn't really love playing music. What she loved was working in a library. And so she quit music altogether, and she's happy as can be being a librarian.
Became a librarian. Yep.
Yeah. Despite your skills, if you're not happy doing it. And all of these underground comics, all of these independents, you can see the passion is just flowing forth in these people because they just love what they did. I mean, they just love the medium.
Passion, talent. Yep.
Oh yeah. I could not get enough of that stuff when I was growing up. I just thought it was the coolest stuff.
And again, I didn't go through my comics. I only went through my magazines, but I did find this, and I don't know if you remember it or not, but this was out for a while. The Tandra collection.
Oh yeah, sure.
Remember that? That was a buck
Sure.
$1.25 by Hanther, illustrated by Hanther. Just that it's one of those things you open it up and it's the most gorgeous illustrations, very much in the style of a Alex Raymond or a Hal Foster.
Oh yeah,
all put together to tell a story.
Unbelievable.
It looks like this was pasted together. There's so much white space in between the gutters and that. Looks like he took a page and stretched it out into magazine format.
Oh sure. If my studio is such a mess. I wish I could find it, but I have a copy of an independent comic that was put out by a Vietnam vet, where he it was his way of protesting the war after having been involved in it. And it's the most incredible graphic package. The guy just drew everything in it, and it's got like 10 different styles of drawing.
Oh yeah.
It's all this protesting, all this war protesting stuff, and it's just phenomenal with his art and his unbelievable. I mean, again, the passion is just amazing.
Yeah.
Wish I could find it. It's here somewhere.
Because Dave Sim was so successful, he brought his buddy Bill Loebs over in Aardvark Vanaheim. They did Journey.
Is that where he first published Journey?
Yeah. Journey was first Aardvark Vanaheim. In fact, my first published work was in Journey number 11.
Oh wow.
In the back of Journey 11. I showed Bill a JB Space story that he loved, but he couldn't figure out how to fit it into his continuity because it was about a dog running a delivery service in space, and Wolverine McAllister was about a guy traveling the Michigan wilderness. Didn't know how to fit it. So I quickly put together a full-page story of a little kid who finds a copy of Journey 1 under his bed and thinks it's a dirty book because it's so dusty, or under his brother's bed, I should say. He thinks it's a dirty book because it's dusty and dusts it off and reads it. And it's all about the first issue of Journey is about the main character being chased by a bear.
I'll be darned.
And
love it.
His brother comes up behind him in the bushes and growls and freaks him out, and they go running off.
I love it.
Bill loved that story too. Printed it in Journey 11, and then Journey 13 was an oddball story where they had Jim Valentino's Normal Man crossing in with Wolverine McAllister. Normal Man goes back in time, so Bill drew 2 pages at the end of the book of one of his characters, Johnny Apple. It's kind of patterned after Johnny Appleseed. Yeah. Walking through the forest and finding a canister, and he unscrews the canister, and there's the JB Space story that he wanted to print. That's in Journey 13. The JB Space story is in there for 4 pages, and then the last page has the character laughing and rolling it back up and sticking it back in the canister and leaving it.
Wow, a real play on self-parroting or like this circle of influence storytelling.
Yeah,
I give Bill Loebs all the credit in the world for creating one of the greatest character names with Wolverine McAllister. There's just something about that name. It just rolls off the tongue. And I remember first hearing about it and then started reading some of the stories, and I just thought, man, Bill was on a huge roll with that character.
Yeah. And I believe he created that name outside of Marvel.
Oh yeah, and well
I
before
mean, long
most,
before the original Wolverine popped into Hulk.
yeah. I mean, because one, obviously Bill's, I mean, incredibly smart guy.
Yeah.
He must have known. I mean, he realized, there's nothing more intrinsic to the wild nature of the frontier than a Wolverine.
Mhm.
And McAllister is a classic name on a huge line of Irish and Scottish explorers that came over to America and just loved, this expansive territory where they could go off and be what they've always wanted to be, but were often denied being that in their homeland of Scotland because of the oppressive English.
Bastards.
So it was just a perfect combination. Nothing against you, Russ, because I understand you're not oppressive at all.
No, I've got probably far too much Celtic in me anyway to
That's what I kind of
really,
thought.
really like the English particularly.
Yeah, that's the thing about me. My entire background, ethnic background, Scottish, Irish, and Native American. So, so my entire bloodline's been oppressed by the English.
That's what the English do best. What are you talking about?
It's
a
a
national
national
sport.
pastime, really. It's a national hobby.
We've always,
Before
The
we
wife
had
and I have always
football,
ta-
we had colonialism.
yeah. There you go. The wife and I have always talked about doing our ancestries because we think they're so different. And I was always told I was a mutt. I came from all over the place. So,
I was always
Somebody-
told I was. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Scott.
Somebody in my family did one of those ancestral trees, and turns out that the Rosemas are descended from livestock thieves. So we were off stealing pigs and cows and chickens. Seems appropriate.
I'm sure you weren't stealing livestock the entire time.
You got to have a job,
Well,
don't you?
But you got to have a job. Yeah.
I'm sure at some point they gravitated towards larceny and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Very checkered path.
We have a coat of arms. There is a coat of arms and a tartan, bizarrely.
Oh, no kidding.
I can go quite a way back, but I don't care.
There's something else in terms of art and design. The whole history of tartan designs.
Oh
is
yeah,
amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
the combinations are endless. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, just crazy. I know we've got a Zimmerman coat of arms, but it's we're Zimmerman long enough to pick up the name, from what I understand.
Oh yeah, you were talking
That's
about
all the German
Star
we
Reach.
have in us.
You were talking about Star Reach a little bit ago.
Mhm.
I remember that was one of my favorite little gems to find every so often. Never got it off the newsstands, and always found it in back issue boxes or tucked away in the corner of a comic shop. And it was always a treat for me because that's where I saw Neil Adams did this amazing covers, and probably one of Neil's greatest illustrations was where he did what's called the Blue Lady. She's semi-nude, and it's this collage illustration of a guy firing a ray gun and this woman with this butterfly wings. Oh, it's just amazing.
Mhm.
Just amazing. Even his kids say that's one of his best pieces. he
Some
ever did.
incredibly beautiful art from that period, anyway. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because
Remember Frank Brunner painted Pirate Duck. That was just hilarious. Before he did Howard, he got the Howard assignment because of the quack material he was doing for Star Reach.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Some of their best works were always for these independent titles because they
Oh,
were
yeah.
completely unfettered and did it purely for the love of it.
No restraints, but also no money, or very little at least.
Unfortunately, yeah.
that ain't changed much.
No,
Unfortunately, no.
but that's comics in general.
Yeah,
The golden age is the same way. That's why Kirby, or that's why a lot of these guys back in the golden age become so prolific, because they got paid by the page and it wasn't much.
Yeah.
So
That's why I'm doing this errantry now these days. Which, where the hell did my copy go? I don't have it with me. Anyway, because this newest version of errantry is a kind of a reboot of what I did back in 1980, long before I got to pro level, because it was based upon me and some friends wanting to do our own sword and sorcery comic book.
Sure.
And it was just so much fun back then to do it because it was our own stuff. We could do it any way we wanted, and we could just, let out all of our creativity. And it was just amazing. And that was from a fairly long line of my doing independent, digest-sized small press,
Mhm.
which is, something of a precursor to the independent.
Well, you had a lot of these guys go off and do their own stuff or come up with side deals. They just wanted to draw comics. They didn't care if it was printed by the big guys as long as it was printed and seen and they got some sort of money from it. One of those things was well, I can say for sure one of those big ones was Mr. A from Ditko,
Oh, yeah.
where
My
Ditko
God.
is
That's
espousing
probably my
his
favorite thing
philosophy.
Ditko ever did.
Very much so.
Oh, yeah,
And this
his-
is the Ditko collection, which collects a bunch of the Mr. A stories. He did a whole run of independent comics, and still Ditko did alternative comics until he passed. I think there
Oh,
were
yeah.
even one or two of them after he had gone. But this Ditko collection was put out by Eclipse, I believe. No, Fantagraphics Books. I stand corrected. And it covers Ditko's independent work from 66 to 73.
Oh, yeah.
The best work that Ditko had done, and a lot of that is his Mr. A material. And you want to talk about incredibly tight Ditko. Here's 12 panels on a page
Oh,
of a story that he's moving along, of a character who believes there is no gray, there is only black or white.
yeah. And it's amazing. You can see
Yes,
there's
all
so
white.
much of his genius as a creator is showcased in those early comics because you can tell that he wasn't really working under the stress of a deadline as much as he was just loving the medium and expressing himself. Absolutely.
Very metaphysical,
Absolute
that.
Very much so.
Yeah, you can see a lot of Mr. A, I guess, the intellectual influence go into the question because starting off they were very similar characters.
Yeah, this is probably born out of his frustration with what he could or couldn't do with the question.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's some great stories in here.
Yeah. Well, either like or agree or disagree with his politics or his social commentary. You can tell that he was an incredibly intellectual creator.
Right.
Very, very intellectual.
But that's part of the fun, I think, of alternative and independent comics is that it can be, and in the alternatives and small press, it very much is your own personal medium. So you can put your point of view there, and if you're well enough or good enough at it, you can do it entertainingly, and have people love your story, even though they might not agree with your politics, or even if they don't agree with your politics. Mr. A is a grand example. Not everybody follows Randian philosophy, but those stories are undeniably great.
Oh yeah, very, very. Oh yeah. And
same thing with Cerebus and Dave Sims. A lot of people don't agree with Dave Sims' politics at all, but you can't argue with the fact that the man's a genius and a master storyteller.
Oh,
and
exactly.
that he learned how to do that over a long period of time. But he's great. I think the same thing about Wendell. If you ever get a chance to Howard Cruz's material, Howard Cruz on the West Coast did a gay lifestyle comic strip in The Advocate for many, many years, back when it was, The Advocate was a very risque publication at the time. And he just did a straightforward family life strip about two guys that were living together, and it is just phenomenal, beautifully drawn, beautifully written. Just a great. And if you ever get a Wendell collection, it's well worth your time to sit and read it. It's just beautiful sequential art.
That was my first exposure to gays being portrayed in comics, and I was just surprised that it was so straightforward, and it wasn't at all.
It wasn't it was just matter of factly. It is what it was.
Fact of life.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is exactly how it should be portrayed.
Exactly how it should.
That's the problem with some contemporary modern perceptions and tellings of gay characters are they just don't chime with people that aren't gay. If you see what
Yeah.
I mean, that you don't want you don't. Okay, if you want to write a gay character for gay people, okay, I'm not going to say the gay community because I don't believe that every gay knows each other.
Mhm.
But if you're a gay person, okay, and you want to read a book about, about someone who has your same or similar life experience, that's fine. But most people just want characters,
Mhm.
and they don't care. I mean, but your sexuality is no doubt that it's part of you and it's part of your character, but it's not your sole trait. There's so
Right.
many other
Exactly.
aspects to you, and
And-
you can totally, feel connected to someone who isn't like you. That's the whole point of literature.
Exactly.
So to be connected to a gay person, you think, well, I'm not gay. I never would be gay. I don't quite understand it because I am not gay,
Mhm.
but I get an insight into it through that book, and I get to appreciate that person as a person, not
Yeah.
a gay person
And-
or a religious person or a political person, as a person, as another human entity.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about things like that.
Yeah, and it's too often that we see comics or any kind of medium that portrays other aspects of life, and they too often gleam, kind of latch onto the eccentricities or
They
the
become caricatures.
Exactly right.
And
Yep.
that's not what you want. You don't want a caricature. You want to connect with people.
You want
That's not to say
characters, yeah.
caricatures aren't fun when done in the right way for
Mhm.
comedic value or even for, some kinds of storytelling. But horses for courses. You don't want every gay character you see in a film, or in a comic or in a book to be like massively camp and wearing chaps all the time.
Right. Yeah.
That's not what that's in my experience of my gay acquaintances. I've not actually met any gay men like that.
Oh,
The
no.
gay men I've
Same
met have
here.
all been,
Rarely.
several of them have been quite manly, actually.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
So
Yep.
it's like they're all so different. Everybody's so different. I'm not just picking out one, characteristic here. Everyone's different, and you can't just sway this broad brush and say, "Oh, all gay people are like that. All straight people are like that. All that color people are like that." It just doesn't work that way.
I've rarely ever met the kind that put on glitter and high heels.
No. No, I have, but most of them weren't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most of them weren't. They just wanted to go down the pub and have a laugh.
Yeah.
The one of the most amazing things was I saw an arm wrestling championship done here locally during some festival, and a gay guy won it hands down. No pun intended, hands down. But it was just amazing, and nobody gave it a second thought.
No. Why would you? I mean, gay men could be strong too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually an episode of All in the Family with that in it where I'm like Archie meets a gay person early on and he's like bothered by it, so he goes to the bar and there's a guy there that he always arm wrestles with.
Yeah.
And as he's arm wrestling the guy, he tells the story. Guys like, Archie, I'm gay. Then he beats Archie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it was portrayed by one of the more masculine actors you've probably seen on TV for years.
Yep.
It was a great portrayal. It was awesome.
We don't mean to neglect the chat, but we've been showing stuff off. Glenn says just stop by at halftime. Have a good one.
Oh, Glenn,
I think
chicken.
this one's
Watching
for you,
people
Glenn.
kick a ball around.
This one's for you, Glenn, and is actually relevant to this discussion we've just had. I think it was The Naked Civil Servant. John Hurt. I don't know if anybody said that. It's about Quentin Crisp, and I watched that film about Quentin Crisp. It was kind of like it was a biography, but it was also fantastical as well, and it was wonderful. I watched it as a boy, actually, in school, and I loved it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic with a wonderful tale. The fact that he was gay didn't bother me in the slightest. Okay, it wasn't an issue for me. But he had this great quote. He said some puffs are quite camp and some camp, but not all camp people are puffs. Or something along those lines. And I think it came in. It's been so long since I've seen the film, and it came in just after he'd told the story of where he'd been in a relationship with another gay man who didn't know when he first met him that he was gay, but he was a really big, burly fella, and they lived kind of like as husband and wife for a period of time.
Right.
And it was a way of describing the fact that you just can't tell.
No.
You never know.
Oh, really?
You know, you can't just tell by the way people look.
Yeah.
So if anybody you can see that The Naked Civil Servant. Go watch it. It's very, very good.
Max, Atrocity Press. How early are we talking? That's where we were talking, between 50s and up through 85. Comics by night, or comics at an ungodly early hour of the day. Yes. Either way, over on the West Coast, it's 2 a.m. when we do comics by night.
It's always ungodly here.
It's always, yeah, it's ungodly everywhere. Says, I watched it later. There we go, Allison. Thank you so much. Scott says, hold your butts, or hold to your butts. Here I am. Says, knock, knock. Scott's knocking. Anyway, sorry, Scott, I didn't see you until I sent that link.
Oh,
I think Russ said that
we're spinning the wheel really slow this morning. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, I switched to using underground comics because people were confused when I was talking about independent comics before Turtles. Alternative comics works well too, because a lot of them were very much so a response to the Comic Code Authority. I think you saw, and then you saw people start doing regular IPs on a basis, doing all sorts of more adult material. Gilbert Shelton, it's a great example.
Freak
of
Brothers.
that.
Oh, could not get enough of that.
A hilarious property that
that
doesn't get enough respect today.
Oh, it was an event in our neighborhood when somebody'd find a copy of Freak Brothers somewhere. Oh my God, we just all get together and read it, laugh our heads off.
Surely that's the archetypal indie comic.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that's right. There's a whole drug period there that they were there. I think the archetype indie comic is probably more First Kingdom, Cerebus, ElfQuest. As far as alternative comics, these are really more of a late 60s, mid to mid 70s drug comic type. Freak Brothers was like that. Warthog had a little bit of that to it.
Yeah, you're definitely a product of its time.
Freewheeling Franklin says, dope will get you through times of no money. Better than money will get you through times of no dope. And of course, out of this, maybe the first really big alternative comic strip is Fat Freddy's Cat.
Oh yeah,
which was literally before Garfield, but very much more realistic than Garfield.
Oh yeah,
as the cat went around leaving little surprises everywhere he went.
Oh yeah, and it was the thing about the Freak Brothers is that once you can work in the drug culture into its content, if you read kind of around it, it is hilarious.
Oh, it is
hilarious.
It's very funny, very much a trio, very much like Marx Brothers.
Oh, Marx
Wouldn't
Brothers.
be surprised if they were the major influence for Freak Brothers was the Marx Brothers.
Oh yeah,
very very much that kind of humor, but also again, and I think Gilbert Sheldon also did Wonder Warthog that we looked at earlier.
Oh yeah,
he had a couple of great IPs that are very underrated and should be out in other media today. Freak Brothers would make a great movie about the 60s and 70s.
There's already a animated series on Tubi.
Do they have one already?
Yeah, with John Goodman as Fat Freddy, and I forgot the guy's name with the cowboy hat, but he's Woody Harrelson.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and Pete Davidson, love him or hate him, is the third brother.
Oh wow! How long has that been going on, Mitch?
So far, there's only one season on, just a few years. Like I think the one season they have so far, they're making more of them. But the one season that they had so far, like, premiered in the middle of the pandemic.
Okay.
Like 10 episodes or something? Or
yeah.
Okay.
So I saw a claymation test reel over on YouTube of Freak Brothers cartoon they were working on. That looked really good. Yeah. Actually, it was quite amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Atrocity says, look at that cover price. Yep.
It was like
big money back then. Yeah. Nudity equals no violence. Yes. Oh, nudity equals no violence equals yes. Yeah, that's the way. Still to this day.
Yeah.
Violence is fine. Nudity is a no. Drives me nuts.
Don't show a nipple. Let's chop someone's head off.
Yep. It's
Exactly.
tagging, not just street art. Yeah, in many ways. Absolutely.
Just
Here in,
a quick correction on
Huh.
my quote. It's some roughs are really queer and some queers are really rough. There you go.
okay.
Just wanted to make sure my quote was correct.
Okay. Awesome.
Atrocity also says, when do you think underground became outlaw in comics? Some people say the 60s or 70s, others say late 80s. I think you're splitting hairs there. The first time I heard the expression outlaw comics or even thought about considering it was off of Cartoon Kayfabe, where they dug up a bunch of this stuff and they were going, yeah, man, some of these comics are really outlaw. But other really outlaw comics are an outspring of both the independent and the alternative markets. You have a lot of people doing and expressing themselves in their own personal directions. Some of that stuff's definitely going to get rougher than others and be, more outlaw than others. But I never looked at myself as working in outlaw comics back when I was working for Caliber.
I think that's mostly a matter of semantics, really. I mean,
it is.
Call it what you want. It's. I mean, the thing about this is that underground was the initial naming and the titling of that material or that genre, because you had what was called mainstream, then you had ground level, and then it was underground, and that really was defined mainly by the kind of subject matter they were willing to broach.
I don't even think ground level got defined very much. It was either mainstream or undergrounds, and the reason they were underground is because they were tough to distribute, and some had adult content to it. But you had a lot of underground comics that didn't. Way back when I was in high school, there was this title that really influenced me a lot that practically nobody has ever heard of, and that's Ismet the Dog Avenger.
Oh, wow. I don't think I've ever seen that. I haven't heard of it.
Number one. Here's the second one. It's about a troubadour dog living a peaceful life on a planet of all animals, running from bar to bar, singing happy songs with a girlfriend until the humans come and invade.
It's always the humans.
It's always the humans. Kill his girlfriend, and he decides to start taking revenge, and he becomes Ismet the Dog Avenger.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And all the humans were drawn as humanly as the guy could draw them at the point, and all of the funny animals, of course, all had this great cartoony style to it.
Oh yeah.
But Ismet would go around and kick a lot of ass. Here he's being beaten through a bar room window.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That lasted for I think 6 issues or so by Canine Publications. I believe they were out on the West Coast. Stumbled across them accidentally and said, hey, this looks cool. And I end up ordering the books.
Yeah.
It's standard black and white books. The paper stock on it was a little nicer than newsprint. Sold for $1.
Yeah. That's kind of ringing a bell a little bit. I think
great property. This was before Cerebus sprung up, or right at the same period as Cerebus was coming out. But
yeah,
my first comic shop. I started a comic shop here in Flint, and one of the first books I was so proud to put on display was Cerebus #6. I got Fantasy Quarterly #1 in during that period, and read ElfQuest. I said, this book's going to be hot. So it's pretty funny. And then they sprung off into Apple Comics. ElfQuest started printing their own material.
Yeah, wasn't ElfQuest? Certainly, Dave Sim. He was publishing a few other titles beyond Cerebus for a while.
Yeah, he started Aardvark Vanaheim. Did Journey was his first extra title, and then he ended up doing a lot of stuff with Denny, his then wife, Denny Lubert.
Yeah,
or at least significant other. And Denny went on to do Renegade comics after that for quite a while.
Right.
And she printed a lot of alternative stuff. That's right around the time that Eclipse Comics was printing. I have an Eclipse comic magazine here that I ran across. Oh, let me find it now. Right there, Eclipse magazine.
Yeah. Oh, Eclipse was awesome. Oh my God. And Denny Lobert was behind that?
No. Denny was doing Renegade comics. This was Dean Mullaney. Mulaney was doing that.
Mulaney.
Oh,
Okay.
look at, that's so old. It's got a little bit of
Dean Mulaney,
moss
that's right.
growing on the bottom there. Mold,
That had
little
some,
mold. They were
early
proudly-
Craig Russell in it.
proudly advertising Captain
the
Victory
Pacific.
from First
yeah.
Comics. Kirby on the Loose
Man, that was wild stuff. My God.
and the Galactic Rangers on sale in July. I believe this is 1961, 1981 that Eclipse was out. They printed Trina Robbins. They printed Steve Gerber and Val Mayrick, Steve Englehart, Marshall Rogers, Coyote.
Oh, Marshall Rogers.
Oh yeah.
Coyote was the first printed under Eclipse. Ms. Tree, who's
Ms.
making a
Tree,
comeback,
by
by the way,
Terry-
by Max Allen Collins
Yeah.
and Terry Beatty.
Terry Beatty, right?
Right there. Terry Beatty went on to do the Phantom strip for quite a while. Now he does Judge Parker, syndicated soap opera comic strip. to
Oh,
the
he's not
newspaper.
doing Phantom anymore?
No.
Oh, okay.
He passed that on a while ago so that he could do writing and drawing on Judge Parker. But there's Quick Trim by Howard Cruz in there. Doing Don McGregor and I think it's Bill Graham. The great Bill
Oh,
Graham
no.
did a number of did Black Panther for a while.
I said that stuff must be pre-Black Panther then.
Rick Rabbit? No, I think this is right during that same period. Rick Rabbit by Steve Leialoha
Wow.
went on to do a lot of Ms. Marvel work. And there, of course, is Dope. The adaptation of Sax Rohmer's Dope by Trina Robbins ran through Eclipse magazine.
Amazing stuff. Amazing.
Just a great magazine with a wide variety of styles and topics, subject matter. There is.
Hey, can I ask Russ?
There is Coyote Marshall Rogers
Oh yeah.
right there. Just a great 2-page splash.
Yeah, he did the art on my favorite Batman story of all time.
Laughing Fish.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Well, the whole story arc is great.
It is.
The
Just
Dark Detective.
Very much classic stuff. Yeah,
Marshall was on all 4 cylinders with that.
all the time.
Unbelievable. Can I ask Russ what you're working on?
Batman.
Oh, you're working on Batman.
Batman.
Can you show any of it or no?
Yeah.
A lot of the professionals. Oh, hang on.
Cover?
I gotta blow that up so that everybody can see it. Look at that pretty.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That is amazing.
And there's
He's freezing Robin's face off.
I've got I've got a pencil of the cover as well.
Don't spill your coffee on it.
There you go.
Oh,
Ah.
there you go. There
Yeah.
you go, Russ.
Yep.
There you
Clayface
go.
and Mr. Freeze. Those are two villains they really need to
Yeah.
deal with.
Oh,
Yeah, they do.
So true.
Here's the one I'm doing right now. There you go. I'm just about to
Oh, hang
finish
on.
up
Just as
that.
I shrank you down. Boom. So pretty.
That's awesome.
probably.
Mhm.
Oh, Russ, talking about all cylinders. There you are.
Yeah, there's
There you
lots of
are.
cylinders in there. Yeah.
You know, probably one of the scariest incarnations of Clayface is in the animated series.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ron Perlman did the voice on that.
Oh, was it Ron Perlman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Oh.
got to go back and watch those, especially
That's
now
a
that
great
Kevin's
episode.
passed.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got them. I got the whole set. A bit like it comes in a nice case and a
Mhm.
little book and everything. It's lovely.
Unbelievable.
I've got
Just
the
beautiful.
Superman Adventures of Superman like that, but most of the Batman adventures I still have on videotape when they
Oh,
first
yeah.
came up.
They're just so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
They encapsulate everything about Batman.
Yeah.
They're just
Oh,
brilliant.
just
I have another Eclipse book here with another IP that's been way too neglected to the point where hardly nobody remembers its existence. I know at one point they had a movie underway in production or getting close to pre-production that was supposed to star Jack Nicholson
Mhm.
as the lead character, and that is Reed Fleming,
be Fleming, world's
the
toughest
world's
milkman.
toughest milkman. Want to make something of it?
Now look at that! Look at that character. Now, can you or can you not see Nicholson doing that?
Yes.
Literally can. So
to the
true.
nth degree.
I could see Nicholson. I could also see Danny DeVito. Clint Howard. There's
Bill
so many-
Murray.
Clint
Yeah.
Howard would be incredible in
Yeah.
this.
Oh my God.
I could
That would
see
be
it. I could
awesome.
see it. World's toughest milkman. Yep. In a collection all his own.
I just remember seeing that, thinking, what a cool idea.
There were a number of those, and then I don't have an example here of it, but I've got the card set in a couple of the comics. Flaming Carrot,
Oh, that's another great one.
same way that spawned the
Bob
Mystery
Burns.
Men movie. Yeah.
Is that Reed Fleming, the Flaming Carrot?
No,
No,
Reed Fleming is somebody else.
Bob Burden. Is that
Bob Burden did,
Bob Burden did.
Flaming Carrot. Yes.
That's it. That's it. Mitch, what are you working on?
Right now, nothing, but I'm yeah, my drawing table's actually over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but comic book wise, I'm slowly, working on re-releasing my character, the Boger, as an ongoing quarterly series.
Say again?
Comic book wise, I'm
The
working
Boger?
on the Boger, which is my
Boga.
my character that I do.
Oh, okay. Oh, awesome.
Be in front of Ogre.
Yeah, that's basically how I came up with the name. He's I'm trying to look at something I could actually show on screen that's not too well. I have Southern Gothic here. This is tamer than the original. Yeah, both are available on my website.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Trying to find an awesome page. Yeah, there's one of him on a phone line pole. Yeah. I have 2 miniseries and one shot, and you're working on releasing it as an ongoing series with different story arcs and stuff. Because each story form is in a different time period, different characters. There's no real overarching continuity. Just like individual stories and stuff. So the first one I'm working on takes place in feudal Japan. I've always wanted to set a story in feudal Japan with samurai and ninja.
Oh, what an
So
awesome
forth.
period.
Sim in the house. How you doing, Sim? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you, man.
Haven't seen you around in a while.
If we're showing, I'll just do a quick one because obviously people know that I'm on Only Death as well. So
Oh,
There we are.
there's some artwork there.
Is that from number
Nice.
2?
That's from book 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
But
Death
I'm-
is that Death
I'm-
Can Only Save Us?
Yeah, Only Death Can Save Us, yeah. I'm 5 pages out from finishing the inks on that, so that will be printed
There you
in
go.
March next year. So
Yeah. Great.
Excellent.
Alan says, when I was in hospital, after my diagnosis, my doctor told me to keep drawing as it will help keep my nerves functioning correctly. Yeah. It's the first thing I did when I got off the respirator is I asked for a pencil and piece of paper since I could move my hand in order to get the hand-eye coordination back because I wasn't going to not be drawing.
Is that self-portrait I saw posted on your page? It's a little ink sketch doodle of yourself.
Probably one of them. But
Okay.
the one
I
that's
did a
your
lot of-
profile pic.
huh?
Is it the one that is? Is it the one that's his profile pic?
Not this one. No.
No.
Not that one. That's me as fearless leader from Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the one that's a little Freak Brothers looking stuff there too.
I did a number of little self-portraits. You see, mostly in pencil though. They're all. I'll put them all in the book. I have a collection here, 1982, I believe, Pacific Comics,
Oh, sure.
of some of the early works by a true comics professional. Ready for this? This is great.
Oh,
Also, a property that nobody talks about anymore.
Let's see.
ROG 2000.
2000. John Burns
And
jumped
again,
back to his Charlton days.
another great wraparound cover.
Wow. Nice.
Look at that. A lot of wraparound covers here. Some of my favorite short stories, ROG 2000 stories. I would have printed those in the paper if I had known who to get a hold of and how and whether or not I could print them. But just great short
Is that-
stories about a robot running around. Go ahead.
Yeah.
is that a direct reference to 2000 AD?
I don't think so. I think it's just it was a futuristic year at the point and made the character sound
But
futuristic.
the prog.
No, it's ROG. Well, maybe it's ROG, R-O-G.
Is it ROG? Is it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
R-O-G.
Oh,
just think
ROG.
that
I
was-
thought it said prog. Oh,
like
right.
ROG, like in Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Might even be ROG 2000.
Yeah, I just think it was just something that came off the tongue pretty easy.
Self
Just Byrne himself.
point.
Yeah,
Anyway, no, probably not, but it does look a lot like it.
yeah.
Only shorter. And again, Byrne back when he was, I think, at his best.
Oh,
Was
just
when he was at his most cartoony.
yeah.
Just beautiful stuff. And I know I've shown this before, but there were a lot of independent publications that came out of the Detroit area. And one of them was a science fiction with a female lead called Oracle.
Oh, I remember that now.
Magazine of
Oh.
Graphic Science Fiction and Fantasy, limited collector's edition, because it was a small press run. But beautiful interior artwork. Some of the first published work by Mr. George Perez.
Oh, no kidding.
There's some Kirby crackle in there.
It does.
Oh my God, yeah.
I like that top she's got on. It's amazing because normally when you rip someone's shirt, the arms come off, whereas her arm is intact and the rest of the shirt has come off. It's really clever.
Exactly.
Amazing.
George Perez, another incredible independent talent that
Is that
naturally gravitated towards
Classic Perez.
Oh,
Right there.
Oh,
You
yeah,
can
look at
see the
that.
style
Wow.
coming out. Undeniable.
a
Yeah.
guy who obviously was almost born to do comic books.
Yeah.
I mean, Perez was just phenomenal.
And again, I think that's the influence that Red Sonja had on the readers. You see a lot of Red Sonja.
Oh
in there.
yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Very, very definitely Perez.
You also see some possible Barbarella
Yeah.
influence there too.
Oh, okay, sure. There
The
you
back
go.
cover's got Red Sonja on it.
Yeah.
Need money, cash for old comics and magazines. What a better way to attract attention. Put Red
No
Sonja
doubt.
on the back
No
cover.
doubt.
Those old Frank Thorne Red Sonjas are just amazing. And again, I really underappreciated them when they were first out. I thought Frank's stuff was really rustic looking.
I'm right there with you too. It took me a long time to have Frank Thorne get properly under my skin
Just
as he
phenomenal
is
stuff.
now. But
There were a lot of artists like that though. Frank Robbins also same way until many years after Invaders, and it's like this stuff's amazing. I just
Oh, yeah.
want to find more of it.
now, speaking of going back a ways, here we have one of the.
That's not back a ways at all. What are you talking? That was yesterday.
Yeah, just yesterday.
That's just a couple years ago. I don't
Seems
know what
like
you're
it, doesn't
saying.
it? More like what,
Literally, just a couple years ago.
1998 was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think was that 98? That couldn't have been that far ago. That was like 2000 and something, wasn't it?
Oh no.
No, it was probably 96, 97.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, there's a copyright on the inside front. I know I put it there.
Yeah. And it's great because its anthology was great because it's one of those flip books, and the other side is
It's crazy
I
about-
love those. I
Crazy
love
about
those.
flip books even back then. That's Bill Bryan again, who we just looked
Oh,
at
yeah.
from A+. Yeah.
yeah. But first appearance of my
August.
penultimate superhero, and then
Who else
And
is in
went
that?
from
Simone
that-
and Ajax is in that.
yeah, Simone and Ajax and Core Hawk and
Mr. Nightmare.
yeah, Land of Oz, and then
Hmm.
it evolved into my first issue of August, and then that became the second issue of August,
Sure.
all during the heyday of Arrow Comics. Something that unfortunately we couldn't pull in the numbers at the time for this to keep it going, and I was having a hell of a time with deadlines because I was working on 3 other things at the same time. So
Retailers still can't make them happy. You know,
yeah, but
all of them
just-
at least.
talk about just the other day, just back up again, just
There you are, Aaron Tree.
there we are.
The big guys were out looking for work, also doing whatever they can. I got a copy here from. It's actually a reprint from the original work. This is from. Oh man, it's from way fine print. That's what it's from. Fantagraphics, I believe, printed this back in 1982.
Oh my. Early days of Fantagraph.
And this is a reprint from the original.
Oh, Gil Kane Savage. Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
My name is Savage. Gil Kane Savage.
Another guy that was born to draw comic books. Gil Kane.
Yes.
That material
Yes.
is just.
Also, one of those guys that always wanted to work. He just wanted to work. Worked for Tower Comics, did a lot of independent oddball material work. This was originally out in magazine form, very much like in the size that you have here, sold on the newsstand from an independent printer, and very much in the same style as one of his later works. He had a paperback publisher approach him to do another property that they wanted to do a regular paperback comic book cross. I'm looking for it now. Let me find that bugger here. Here it is at the bottom. That's Black Mark.
Oh yes, great fantasy series.
Marvel,
really.
Yeah, it's a barbarian, a post-apocalyptic barbarian series. Marvel later did a magazine on that, collected them together, went and took the material and pasted it through Marvel Preview.
Oh
featuring
yeah,
Black Mark.
Yeah. Just
And
wonderful
again,
stuff, man.
this was originally meant to be paperback book size, very much in the style of that Savage book that you saw. In fact, he had tapped Archie Goodwin to do the writing on both of these projects. Archie was happy to help him out and do that. And it's very, very much just classic Gil Kane, straight through, with written prose besides. And the magazine size, you got a lot better look at it though.
Oh yeah, just unbelievable material.
A lot nicer. They stepped it up, reversed some of the lettering so that it livened up the magazine pages, spotted the blacks a little harder.
And a lot of that decisions of that kind of stuff was really championed by Roy Thomas, who really wanted to up the ante of comics with better production and all that. Yeah.
Pretty sure he was off editing at the point this was printed. Let me see. It's attributed to Gil Kane. Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. Rick Marshall edited
Rick Marshall. Oh, yeah.
Look at that. Look at that Gil Kane. Beautiful work.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Rick Marshall was at one of the last Flint Comic Cons.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
I believe he's still living locally.
Yeah, I think he's working he's working with some Christian publishers, I think.
I'm pretty sure you're right. I've been meaning to get back in touch with him to see if he'd come on one of the shows. I'd love to have him on a Comics by Night, even a pre-recorded interview with him.
I would love to hear his stories behind the scenes tales. Oh my God.
It's the first thing I told him. He called me up and says, "I'm Rick Marshall. I don't know who you are." He found Flint Comics was being distributed, and he dug up my phone number because my phone number's in all the papers. Are you Raven Zimmerman? Yeah. He says, "I don't know if you'll know who I am, but I'm Rick Marshall." I says, "Heck yeah, I know who you are. How you doing?"
That's awesome.
He says, "Well, and he explained to me what he was doing here locally, and I said, "Dude, we got to go to lunch. I bet you have a lot of stories."
Oh yeah, and another famous Rick from the Marvel days was Rick Parker. He's online now, and a letterer, production guy, and just tons and tons of stories. I mean, he's one of those dozens of guys who are just kind of sitting off in the corner doing their work and seeing all this history go around and by him and all that. Just wonderful stuff.
I got a small press publication here by a major publisher that points that out. This is great. I ran across this when I was going through my magazine. It's not quite in theme with what we're talking about today, but it's fun to look at. Back when, the 80s, I would say, maybe late 70s, Marvel had their own fan club.
Oh, yeah.
That they had people write in, you send them a certain amount of money, and they sent you a package of stuff, and then they sent you a regular quarterly publication. And the name of the fan group was Friends of Old Marvel.
Foom.
So it was called Foom.
Yeah, I love Foom.
And the first thing you got when they sent you their membership package was this incredible fold-out poster from Steranko of all of these characters flying at you. And I posted that up in my room, as did many other kids of that era. Posted that up in the bedroom. And of course, the poster gets completely damaged and ripped and destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that poster at a my last Motor City Con, which was a number of years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago. Somebody had it backed up by cardboard, wrapped in plastic. Guess how much they wanted for that poster?
Oh, couple hundred.
125.
Oh, man.
Should have bought it. Should have, would have. And especially considering those Marvel black light posters now don't sell for any, I don't think, any lower than 600 a hit.
Oh, I used to
They
have
did a
them
whole
too,
bunch
yeah.
of black light posters.
Yeah.
But here is Foom
Oh,
with a cover by Marie Severin
The
showing the bullpen. And there's
Oh,
a key
my
on
God.
the inside describing who everybody is and where everybody's at. That right there,
Oh, that's
John Romita working in his office.
comics history.
Len Wayne's across the hall from him. Pretty obvious.
There's Stan coming out of his office, and
There's all sorts of stuff going on here, and it'd take forever. And you could, dedicate almost an entire hour to going through this key and talking about the people that were in the office. But everybody was there at that point.
I'd hate to have the office that's been covered up by the mailing address right there.
Oh, you know what? What's really funny? You know who's underneath that? Let me find it here. Oh,
Okay,
Al
watch it.
Milgram. Al Milgram is actually. Here's the key. There's the guy.
Oh my God!
Right there, who's covered up. They left a lot of dead space because they knew that label was going to be there.
Okay.
But these are just miscellaneous fans here. But Al is right there, and he is. All you
His
see
feet?
of him are his shoes. His feet. Hey, Al. There you go.
Yeah, and that's really something because Al Milgrom is literally the workhorse of Marvel. I mean, he just did everything. It was just amazing.
Yep.
I was lucky enough to Al actually inked one of the posters I did for Marvel, which I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was a Storm Rogue pinup I did when I was did that issue of X-Men. Just amazing.
Here's a rarely seen cover. John Buscema.
Oh yeah.
Inked by Pete Craig Russell.
Oh,
man.
look at that.
I mean,
Pete
you
Craig
can't
Russell,
imagine
that's
that
another great
Yeah.
artist.
It probably took him about 10 minutes to draw that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't doubt it.
it's definitely a quickie illustration. And then on the back is Wanda and Vision.
No, is that also inked by Russell or no?
No,
Oh.
no, I wouldn't imagine. That looks more like Milgram. Going to make me switch glasses again on camera yet.
Dance, monkey, dance.
What happens when you get older, folks? You got to get them bifocals working. And I still can't read it. Here, I'll hold it up and see if maybe you can decipher what
Gotta
that.
keep it still. Got to wait for it to focus.
Focus, damn it.
Just go wait. Just sit there.
Hang on.
Then you mess it up again.
Oh, there it is. There it's coming. It's coming. Patty. What?
Can't tell.
Oh, Al Milgrom. It's Al inked it. AM.
Al inked it.
I am, right.
Somebody penciled it. It looks like Timothy. I don't know.
Try it again. Focus.
Looks like Patty to me,
I
but
thought, yeah, I thought it looked like Patty. Yeah.
Well, shame on these artists who write their signatures so that nobody can read them but them.
Yeah.
That's something Mike Grell. I was at a convention. Mike Grell pointed out to me. I said, "Son, you want two signatures. One on your artwork that everybody can read. That's why he's got that little heartbeat type, line, Grell line
Yeah.
signature. And says, and another one to write your checks."
Exactly.
Yep.
That's what I do.
yeah, have you seen Walter Simonson's signature? It's a
It's amazing.
dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just amazing.
Yeah,
And
but he's
that's
also
funny.
got that great O right in the center of it. Just
Yeah,
like
and
that.
that's so funny because he's not known for drawing dinosaurs hardly at all, and yet he
Mhm.
uses one for his signature. It was,
I read somewhere that
more.
that he wanted to be a paleontologist at one point.
Oh, really?
Very believable.
Oh,
Yep.
I'd almost think it's more like Bill Stout should have his dinosaur as a signature, but his
Oh,
is
that too.
pretty standard.
Yep. Here is, I would venture to guess this is Colin and some other ink, probably Palmer. Let me blow this up. Very, very political. Howard the Duck for president.
Oh, is that Palmer ink? Oh, yeah, it is Palmer inking.
Looks like Gene Colan. Over
Gorgeous.
if not
Yeah.
no, if not Colan, then Brunner. Probably Colan though. Gene Colan.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks like Gene's work.
Just
Yeah,
great
after we
stuff.
talked the other day about him tracing that girl in the bottom corner. Looks suspicious.
Then again, wraparound cover.
Oh, look at the way
There's
look at how he's drawn
Jameson,
those guys.
Fury. Who's
That's
the guy between Jameson and Fury?
That's the
That's
the
Pip
guy
the Troll.
Pip, yeah, from
Pip
Stalin's
the Troll. Yeah.
Oh, all cigar smokers. I see.
All
Yeah.
cigar smokers. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
That must have been it. They just put all
Did-
cigar smokers.
Did Pip turn up before Adam Warlock, or was he a character that was created within
No,
the
it
pages
was-
of Warlock?
It was
I think-
Stalin's going crazy.
Yeah, I think he was Starlin in
Yeah.
Warlock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But
Jim
hey,
was
that's go ahead.
Jim Starlin's another born to draw comic books. I mean, the guy
Oh,
just you could see he just ate it up with a huge soup spoon. I mean, the guy was just unbelievably talented and dedicated to the medium. Just amazing. One of my big influences too, because I remember seeing Starlin's work. The first thing I saw of his stuff was that great Master of Kung Fu first issue, I think Marvel preview or something. And just amazing his draftsmanship and the way he would render muscles and his layout and flow of figures from one panel to the next. And just absolutely loved his stuff. Just loved it. Big influence on me. I just couldn't wait to get another Jim Starlin comic in my hands, especially the way he did Master of Kung Fu, because I was just getting into martial arts then too.
Yeah.
It was just, wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff.
I got another Eclipse publication here of another great cartoonist of the day. Used to do a lot of comic strips for the Comics Bayards guy.
Oh,
I would say this stuff I'm doing for Only Death Can Save Us. That's
Nice.
That's somewhere between Starlin and Kirby as far as influences are concerned.
Oh, I can really see the Starlin influence on there.
Yeah,
Russ.
like the stuff right at the start, that kind of stuff. That's quite a bit. There's quite a bit of Starlin. I didn't realize just how much Starlin had influenced me actually. But yeah, there's we were talking about our favorite artists last week, and there's a whole. I've got a whole bunch of foster dads as far as inspirational artists are concerned. I was saying about it with karate, you can kind of trace your lineage back. I can trace mine back to Suzuki over two senseis, and you can kind of trace back the stuff that really makes a difference to the way that you draw.
Yeah.
I think it's the same for most art.
I can really see the Starlin stamp on some of your work, Russ.
And yet, thank you, and yet I didn't really know I was doing it.
No,
I
understand.
I keep saying in Black and White, you've got a lot of Gil Kane influence.
Yeah, Gil Kane as well. Again, I wasn't quite aware of Gil Kane, and also we spoke about not Ditko, probably Colon to a degree.
Yeah.
But just little bits and pieces that come from all these people that inspire you so much. I mean, there's so many great artists from that period.
Yeah.
And it usually takes a second set of eyes to point things out to you that you're not aware of. I had somebody tell me that they could see the Steranko influence on my stuff. And I just thought, really? And I looked at it, of course, because I just loved his stuff on Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And I loved the when he was doing that Talon, fancy thing. And then I would look at the stuff that I did later on. I thought, well, God, there is influence there. I can see it now.
And it's weird because what we were talking about on Friday, you can then trace yourself back to Wally Wood through Steranko. These people sort of inspire each other. And
there's a lot of people that go back to Wally Wood.
What you've got to say, Wally Wood is maybe the source.
It's the font. Is that Steranko too?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
he did all those covers.
This media scene. Yeah.
You know,
ran
one
across
of
the
the
old copy of that. It's very much a
one of the
influence
fun
on me as a
things.
kid. Go ahead.
One of the fun things I remember hearing Franco saying was that one of the many reasons he did media scene and comic scene is because he said it gave him the chance to do covers of a magazine without having to work through an art director.
Yep.
And it's true. I mean, his magazine, he did all the covers for him just about. And what a genius way to make sure you got plenty of work and get paid for doing it at the same time. Oh, is that Stout?
William Stout. Yeah.
Oh God, Bill's so good.
Just amazing. Yep, Buck Rogers right there.
Now there's somebody else. If I can pass on any amount of advice to you guys that's worth anything, is that if you get a chance to talk to Stout at a convention, whatever, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do not pass it up. The guy has got stories. Oh my God, he's just absolutely fascinating to listen to.
And the sad thing is there's so many of those guys that are doing conventions that have been around for decades. And when you go and look at their tables, there's like nobody there.
Nobody knows who they are because
nobody realizes who they are. Yeah.
People don't do history anymore.
No.
Nobody does. Nobody looks to see what went before them anymore. They think that they're the best already.
Yeah.
Oh no! Yeah. And if Stout ever holds a slideshow or a presentation at a convention, do not miss it.
Yeah,
his slides, his presentations are always absolutely cool as hell and fascinating. So, word to the wise.
Alan says, "I'm a fan of doing stuff as I learned in art class. I rough out everything on crap paper and then lightboard it to the nice stuff." Yep.
Right there, right with you, Allison. That's right what there. I do all the time.
It's the way it goes. It's the way it works.
Yeah.
Anyway, one last thing before we leave, or before we sign off. Another collection. One of these days, we're going to need to do a show just on cartoonists. So I found my copy of Hembeck.
Oh, Fred Hembeck.
Look at that.
Unbelievable.
That's a collection of his Dateline strips from Comics Buyer's Guide. I learned so much about the oddball comic character from his strips. I loved him.
Oh yeah,
I absolutely loved him. And he went through and drew everybody. Here's all of the Blackhawks. All the different uniforms of Blackhawk up to date on that. Yep.
What a distinctive style too, really, isn't it? I mean, it's just phenomenal the way he just, he has his own look and his own take. I really admire guys.
He's done a number of cartoon books for just about everybody. Hembeck destroys the Marvel universe. Hembeck destroys the DC universe. All that stuff. Just great stuff.
And if you ever friend him on Facebook and you send him a birthday wish, he'll send you one back, and it's just phenomenal.
He will.
I mean, he'll write that. He wrote me this incredible. Okay, Scott, here's what he just went on for like 2 paragraphs. It was just awesome. The guy is just a dynamo. It's wonderful stuff.
Says that's only Jim Lee and McFarlane, right? Or there's only Jim Lee and McFarlane, right? No.
Yeah, comics didn't exist before those people.
No.
So many people think also, like I said in the start, so many people think the Turtles started the alternative comics movement, and really it didn't. It sprung out of the so-called underground movement and, spawned the so-called outlaw movement. But alternatives and independents have been around for as long as people have loved to do comics and have decided to do it on their own. And I think you can stretch that all the way back to really Bill Gaines deciding that he was going to start doing comics for himself and do the EC line. And even before that, you've got other little glimpses of companies that have started up because people loved comics. All Negro Comics is a great example. It started up back in the 40s. That had one issue printed until they couldn't secure enough newsprint, or it just wasn't secured for them.
Yeah, and
to print a second issue.
And a lot of that, I think, was helped along by access to technology too. Yeah. Because it's like you said, as soon as the Xerox machine became much more accessible and the quality went up a little bit, everybody started taking advantage of being able to do it themselves. Just
even with mimeographs and printing, you had a bunch of folks out there like Nostalgia Press or it's a special edition publishers. Alan Light research by Murray Bischoff, who put together collections of famous Golden Age work that they thought was in public domain. Here's a collection of Lou Fine's Captain Marvel Jr., and it's not the best printed material. In fact, it's printed incredibly light, photostated off of the comics themselves because nobody could get them at the time. This is a collection of the Lou Fine Master comics. Just look at those covers.
Is that Alan Light of CBG?
That is Alan Light of Rolling Stone and CBG. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Alan sold his CBG to Krause Publications and became a regular reporter for Rolling Stone for many years. Alan Light, compiled by Ken Mitchell, introduction by Jim Steranko, special edition, The Ray and Black Condor, all of the old Lou Fine, amazing stories. Back when you couldn't secure this stuff for nothing, and it was so rare to find, just as conventions were forming on a regular basis back when. Now most of this material is slabbed. Anything that's in decent shape is slabbed. This is copyright 1974. So
unbelievable. Nice
thick volume of the Black Condor and the Ray stories. Readable, maybe not collectible, maybe not completely decipherable in spots because of the publishing. But once they were able to mimeograph, once they were able to photostat on a cheaper basis, they started putting book collections together like that and spreading it amongst themselves.
Amazing.
There's still a bit of that underground going on around today, where you see some independently printed stuff, and then your larger publishers came in and started printing, like the Ditko material and other material. Even High Times got into a regular annual where they would reprint a bunch of underground comics.
Oh, okay.
That were more drug related. Yeah.
That's Zippy the Clown?
Yep. Zippy the Pinhead.
Zippy the Pinhead. That's it.
All sorts of different comics in here. There's some Zippy. There's some Trina Robbins also has some stuff in here. Mostly the stuff High Times thought would be interesting. Here's a great Bluesman illustration from Crumb. Let me blow that up just for a second. We don't talk about Crumb enough on this show, I don't think.
Yeah, good.
Guy moving.
Crumb is a force of nature. He's still around, isn't he?
Oh yeah, yeah, he is.
He was in France, I believe.
Yes, he is.
Does he still produce work, or is he kind
Yes, he does.
Oh, kidding.
Nope, he's still out there.
Unbelievable.
Me and Big Joe.
Yeah, he's slower than he used to be, but he's still churning out stuff.
And a lot of his material is photorealistic. You can tell it took him days to do. Just very amazing material. So anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane. Hope you tell your friends about the show if you enjoyed it, so that everybody else can see it as well. We've got a number of people listening. Only one like, though. So go over to YouTube and like this page. Go over, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the Indie Comics Network. There's a lot of great programming up here. Bound to be something over there that you like. If you can't stand this, there's other stuff over there. So go take a look. All about comics, all about the comic medium. We even have a show on animation, Sketchy Saturdays, where folks just sit around and draw and talk, and just a lot of fun on this program or on this network. So
very fun.
Indie Comics Network, go over to YouTube. Even if you don't watch us on YouTube, go over to YouTube and subscribe, just to bump our subscriber people up.
Yeah.
Make sure you like and love this show. Tell your friends.
Enrich your background of comics and the medium.
Scott, tell the folks who you are and how they can find you.
I am Scott Rosenbaum. I'm currently got Ted Davies ensconced in my basement getting ready for our Caterpillar costume competition. And big professional time artist in the industry since 87. Marvel, DC, Warner Brothers. You can find me at my Facebook page under Scott Rosenbaum, and my email's there. If you want to write me or contact me, feel free. And Russ and I are going to be holding a summer-long trip into the Boweries of Chicago, if I can get them over to the States. And Mitch and I are going to be taking his dog out for a long run, I think.
Is he working on a Caterpillar or a Centipede outfit?
Centipede, actually.
Centipede. Don't go to Scott's house.
Well,
Don't
he's
do it.
Stay out of the basement.
Be forewarned. Well, he's always telling me to kiss his ass, so I figured, all right.
Ah.
Wait a minute.
And not that Sunday Funnies is appropriate
about-
material, but
We are TVMA DLSV.
that's right.
And we probably, at this point, are too late actually to
Now that we've drawn in all the
to run this.
The views and opinions expressed within the video content found on the Indie Comics Network are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Indie Comics Network or its sponsors.
That's it.
As they say at the casino.
That's it.
Done. Okay. Before you go, one last treasure. Not at all keeping with what we were talking about, but a magazine. I found this. I plan on looking through this later today. Unknown Worlds of Science Fiction.
Unknown Worlds of Science Fiction.
This is my favorite comic adaptation. This is what, as a teenage kid, this is what really started real big influence. If you've never read the story Behold the Man by Michael Moorcock, it's in here. Beautifully done, I may add, by the Nope. Looking for it. Hang on just a second. Where is it? Page 7. Behold the Man.
Oh,
Good Lord.
By the fantastic Alex Nino.
Alex
You
Nino,
never see
yeah.
this reprinted like anywhere that I know of. I don't know if they ever did an Unknown Worlds of Science Fiction omnibus or not, but
that's Moorcock's writing?
it's a short story turned into a novel by Michael Moorcock. One of the most blasphemous science fiction novels you will ever read.
Wow.
Just amazing work, though.
Oh, yeah.
Is that Alcala?
I believe that is Nino, inking Nino, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check here.
It had an Alcala feel to it, though, didn't it, Russ?
It really did. Nope, Scrick, Doug Monch, art by Alex Nino.
Oh, crikey. There you go.
Nino had it also Filipino artist. Look at that line work. That is, I can see where you would think that's Alcala back there.
Yeah. Oh,
Look at that beautiful hatch work.
Closer look now, it is different, but yeah, it's
fantastic stuff. Just,
but it has that same lush Filipino school of art, though.
Very much so, yeah. And this is actually a little bit more restrained for Alcala and his material. Just fantastic stuff.
Oh yeah, my God!
Behold, the Man is the story of someone in the future who is very much into Carl Jung and has frequent religious discussions with his girlfriend, who decides that he's going to go back in time in order to see Jesus because he feels it's important that he does so. Learns the ancient Hebrew, jumps back in time to find Jesus, and come to find out he is he is Space Jeebus. He is a retarded imbecile. And then decides, using his Jungian philosophy, to become Jesus himself.
Yeah, I remember reading that story in a novella. It's just amazing.
Free copies handed out at Life of Brian screenings.
Sounds like something Garth Ennis would write.
Yeah.
Michael Moorcock, star of all of it. So yeah, it's a very difficult novel to find nowadays. So they had him stretch it out to a novel so that they could release it as a paperback. And from what I understand, he took a short story and wrote, spread it out. Every sentence became a paragraph until he hit the word count. And then he finished the story up and sent it into. So that's the way he worked.
And Moorcock is still around. Is he still writing? Or
I'm not sure. I don't know if he's still alive. Is he?
I don't think he is.
I'd have to look.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing about him passing.
But Unknown Worlds of Science Fiction also has Alex Nino adapting Harlan Ellison's Repent Harlequin Cried the TikTok Man. And that is just, to me, as a kid, that's one of the stories that really blew my mind. That is just amazing. We need to make a big, need to blow that story up really big and have a Comics by Night about it, because the sequential work on it, the way the composition work is so unique and just guides your eye through the story so crazily that it's an amazing piece of art. Just a phenomenal piece.
Really,
and it's a great story as well.
Yeah, Nino really stretched himself storytelling wise in that story. It was amazing.
Michael Moorcock's still alive.
Is he?
Is he? All right, okay.
He's 82.
Got a collection of his Elrics.
Not bad.
Yeah, Elric. I read some of that when I was younger. Yeah,
Eternal Champion. I think everybody who read Tolkien ended up reading Moorcock.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Russ, introduce yourself and tell folks how they can find you.
Yeah. Keep calm. Draw comics.
Keep calm. Draw comics.
You can find me at russleach.com. I am Russ Leach. I am a comic book artist. I don't have the amazing careers of some of the people on this panel, but I've done okay.
Listen to us as we laugh.
Right at the moment, you can find me in the pages of Batman in the UK and Europe.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready? Ready!
You can also find me.
I promise you, none of us have ever worked on Doctor Who.
All right, okay, well, there you go.
Except you.
I've done a bit of Doctor Who, and you can also find my new book, the latest version of it, Only Death Can Save Us, by New Haven, all good book publishers right at the moment. The second volume of that is available if you want to get a crowd-funded version over at Indiegogo. But you can find out all my social medias and all the rest of it. Find out all about me, russleach.com.
Sweet. Mitch, who are you and how can they find you?
Who am I? I am Mitch Rogers, creator of the Boger horror comic series. Both volumes are available for purchase at my website, CelticCrossComics.com, which you can find that and everything else here at Linktree/Celtic Cross Studios. And if you try to purchase something at my website and there's a problem, let me know. Either email me or message me on Facebook. Yeah.
Oh, I'll let you know, Mitch. Trust me.
I'll let you know.
Because apparently when I started my online store, like a few years ago, a lot of people weren't able to buy stuff. I just found out recently because there's a problem with the website. No one told me. So,
right.
Nice.
It's like a Kevin Smith horror movie at Scott's house.
Well, you would know.
Probably truer than you know.
Is there a walrus man somewhere around?
Walrus man.
Oh, he's over. He's over.
So I'm out, guys. Have a great one. Allison, take care. Everybody else, take care. I've been your host, Randy Zimmerman. Been a long time alternative and independent comics publisher. Been reading and collecting this stuff for a long time. That's why I got my hands dirty last night for you, going through my magazine stuff. One of these days we'll go through my comics and find even more stranger, odder, more underground, more outlaw material. Then we'll have more of this in future broadcasts. You can find me over on Facebook if you really want to, at Twitter if you look hard enough. And Arrow Comics 4.0 has a link tree and all sorts of other connections. Starting in January, we're just going to be Arrow Comics from then on. We've got so much stuff planned and some stuff I can't tell you about that is looking incredibly good. That's going to be a lot of fun. If you're interested in reading some of my stuff, Paragon is available now. You can contact me for that. Paragon #1, Calico Ashard, the artwork by C. Michael Lanning. Also available through me now. HeroBot Zero. It's been available through me for quite a while. And I can proudly say issue 2 is at the printer. Going to have copies soon with a Scott Rosema cover.
Woo.
So an Empyrean Vole has a lead story on the inside. Pete did some phenomenal work that we're finally going to have in print and available. I've got plans to do the Great Lakes Con in February. If you get a chance to go there at the Macomb Community College. I've got plans to do the Midland Mall Show in March. If you're up here in Michigan, in Midland, I'll be at the Mall Show in March. Scott, you should think about doing that show. It's a good show.
I'm going to have some representatives there.
And then, oh yeah, you are. That's right. I forgot because you're down in wherever, Elkhart. And that's in March too. So who knows what the weather's going to be like. And then at the end of April, I'm looking at throwing my own convention, little 1-day show here in Flint. Then other than that, Grand Rapids has a show going on in the first or second weekend of April as well in Kalamazoo. Looking forward to being at that one as well. So Arrow Comics is going to be out there and around. We also do Revolt magazine that's also available now. Issue 1 is available. More stuff on the way. I've got more Paragons, more Calicos ordered, more HeroBot 2 is at the printer, and can't wait to get those available and out to anybody who wants a copy. And right now, if you want a great taste of Arrow Comics, we have the first issue of a great preview of Russ's Only Death Can Save Us book, the Revolt 1, HeroBot 0, Paragon, Calico, as well as Hybrids #1 from Luke Stone and Rift Riders. If you go over to the Indiegogo campaign for Rift Riders, we'll play a bump of this at the end. Go over there. There's an Arrow Comics tier that for $50. Oh, also Sin Killer by the great Marv is also part of that package. 8 great Arrow Comics, 32 pages a piece with great reading, wide variety of genres, all available for one price plus shipping over there at the Rift Riders campaign that's still in demand over on Indiegogo. Look for a lot more Arrow Comics coming to you next year. Really looking forward to seeing a lot more of that out there.
Everywhere. It's everywhere.
It's a centipede, man. Anyway. See, Michael says, in the meantime, folks, deeply appreciate you here watching. Make sure you watch our other program. We'll have a bump for that at the end too. We're going to show some commercials and then and some other spots, and then we'll be out of here. We deeply appreciate you all. Again, thanks a lot for watching. We'll be back next Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to talk about more funny books, more fun. Make sure you watch Comics by Night at 5 a.m. on Friday, or archived over in the Indie Comics Network. This week, it's Steranko. We're going over
must-see stuff.
Must-see stuff. We're going over, let me reach for it here. It's a big book. It's a big book of Steranko.
Oh, no.
Right there, and it covers over the entire camera. It is huge, and believe me, it's beautiful.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, that's another person that if you catch him at a convention has a lot of stories.
Phenomenal showman. Chalk off it just to get an autograph is a half an hour. $10 and a half an hour, folks, just so you know. Chalk off the time, it's well worth it.
And of all the stuff he's done, all the Marvel stuff, all the indie stuff, his proudest moment, he says, is punching Bob Kane in the face.
Great story. Great story.
Somebody walked up to him at the show I was at and asked him if he could take a photograph of him. And he looked at him and goes, young man, says, I only take photographs when I have 2 beautiful women, one on each arm. You go find me 2 beautiful women that I can have one on each arm, and you can take a picture. And he went out and he found two women, brought them over. He was happy to take the picture.
That's Strangle for you.
Just a great showman. One of comics' best. I'm telling you.
You bet.
Anyway, also Zimcast, 10 p.m. Wednesday nights. This episode on Wednesday, we're going to talk about being prepared. You got to be prepared if you're a creator for the upcoming times to come. And it's going to get crazy, folks. We all know there's a lot of shit happening, and it's time to get ready. And I want to help you do that over at the Zimcast, 10 p.m. Wednesday night. Maybe Scott will be there. Don't bet on him, please. Maybe he'll be there. Maybe. We'll see. Everybody's always welcome. Always welcome in the chat. Thank you so much, chat. Allison, Max, glad you're here. Glad you were there. We'll see everybody soon. Take care, everyone. Indie Comics Network, indiecomicsnetwork.com. Make sure you go over there. Everything's archived there for your viewing and listening pleasure. Get back to work.
See ya.
Everybody. Get back to work. Go visit your retailer when you get a chance. They'll love you for it. We'll see ya. Take it easy, he said, as he goes around and tries to find the stuff to play. Take care, everybody. We'll see ya.
Have a question or comment for us to address on the show? Have a topic you want us to talk about? Email us at indiecomicsnetwork@gmail.com. Want your comics to arrive in pristine condition? Head over to GeminiComicSupply.com and save 10% on your next Gemini mailer order or anything in the Gemini Comics Supply store. Use coupon code RAGIN10. That's RAGIN 10.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
This thing never clicks over right. I always do it the most clumsy way possible. Here we go. When your timeline reaches its Armageddon, what's a kid to do?
I'm not a...
Snag the keys to your mom's experimental ship, of course.
That's not quite how it happened.
Drift aimlessly in the rift between dimensions, trying to figure out how to operate it.
Now hold on a sec.
Pick up a few hitchhikers.
Hi!
Hello.
And maybe solve a disturbing mystery that could lead to the destruction of reality itself.
You know, if there's time... There's always time.
I'm not so sure about that.
Get in on the adventure with the Rift Riders on Indiegogo.
It is difficult to write these words, but I must for my own sake. I have done, seen, and been part of many things in my life.
And, who's your favorite Marvel Comics hero? Mine is Superman. Remember the motto? With great power comes great responsibility.
See, I clicked it, didn't go over. It's irritating.
Oh.